My name is Kamlesh Kapoor. This is part 4 of caste and social structures, and what was going on with the affirmative action and how the categories expanded and how far this program of affirmative action in independent India was successful. And if it overexceeded, tilted too much in favor of the reserved classes, then it has its own problems. So we are going to weigh how far the government has gone and where did the problems arise as a different kind of plans were expanded, different commissions came, and that, leads to more and more categories or shrinking of some categories. Part of this series, this part 4, I heavily depended on a very exhaustive report, which was done by Dr. Rakesh Bahadur. And as you see on the screen, Equality and Inclusion, Progress and Development of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes in Independent India. I would recommend that those who are interested in it, it is available on as PDF format on the computer, and please check it out. It really gives a very exhaustive analysis with the help of graphs and tables where these tribes, backward classes and scheduled tribes were, and how far have they moved upward in literacy, in poverty criteria, and other indices, and job opportunities. In other words, to what extent have they benefited? So we are going to start with this. In the beginning, I really want to mention one more point. From the comments generated by part 2, some people think I'm talking about Sanatana Dharma. This series is not about Sanatana Dharma. There are several books, one of them that I wrote, Teaching Hindu Dharma, Hindu Dharma Teaching Guide, which was published in 2013. And then there are scores of books which simplify Hindu Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. What we are talking about, I was talking about when I was giving the historic perspective, was of the social classes which were there at that time, and even the foreign visitors recorded what were the classes. In other words, what I was trying to prove was that caste did not exist. That is the whole thrust of the problem, that who started it and who enforced it and who continues to take advantage of its presence. Even though people don't want the presence of caste system, or they don't want to link it with anything. But somehow or other, it is sticking for certain reasons. So coming back to affirmative action, it is a success story. Everybody knows that. The scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are represented in public sector undertakings as per the reservation policy of the Government of India. There was a mandatory, Constitution mandated that scheduled castes should be 15% reservation and tribes should be 7.5% reservation. And the same criteria was for different levels of public sector in educational institutions, uh, colleges and jobs in the private sector as well. The companies were asked to maintain voluntarily and give opportunities to SCs and STs through through their employees' selection. So, in 2007, the Confederation of Indian Industries came up with an affirmative action. So they also wanted to ensure equal opportunity for all these backward classes. This was it has nothing to do with the religion. It has socially disadvantaged and economically disadvantaged classes. Like the tribal people were oppressed by the British government. They took away their lands and natural resources, and they were under extreme economic pressure. And then the backward classes were there, which were never given opportunities of education, or just because of poverty, they could not afford proper education. So this was fine. This was necessary. And left to that, at that, it would have been a absolutely great blessing. It still is a great blessing, but somehow or other there are a whole lot of twists and turns given to the program. So let us see. It was the program was for socially, culturally, economically backward people. During the emergency period in the 70s, Indira Gandhi found opposition from many other quarters because of her high-handedness and dictatorial policies. Then her slimy advisor sneakishly amended the constitution to include these two terms, secular and socialist. If it is secular, and we have no problem, religion has no place in that. If it is socialist, it's okay. To begin with, it was meant as a socialist program. Now what happened was that suddenly religious minorities were included. Backward classes and other backward classes also received reservation. So now it is a whole complex platform on which the criteria is simply changed. Religious minorities. Obviously, Hindus at that time were 86%. Now it has fallen down, but still it is a majority thing. And they included the Sikh, the Jains, the Buddhists, all other lineages, Ramakrishna, everybody. For the purposes of category, the Supreme Court said that Hindus mean all religions which started as from Indian soil. So, except Hindus, suddenly the Christians became minority, Muslims became minority, and for 83% population, only 30% jobs and college admissions remained open, and they are still shrinking. This was purposely done without any kind of referendum or public mandate. Religion basis of reservation, how does that become secular? That means the government itself is a communal entity then. Pandering to religious minorities, appeasing them, makes the government as a communal entity. It also is very hurtful to the majority because it is double dipping. First of all, we will later show the graph. First of all, many of the Christians and Muslims, they are already getting on backward classes and backward tribes reservation. Now on the basis of religion also, the whole community, almost 18%, they are entitled to uneven distribution of jobs and admissions, and consequently economic standards. It amounts to different laws for different religions in the so-called secular country. It destroys the very basis of a democratic government. It is no longer democratic government. It is just a theocratic government existing with the help of blocks of votes, which they are sure they are going to get, because every time they feel that the government may not get the support of these minorities, religious minorities, they will throw some more carrots and some more reservation or some allure. So among the democracies of the world today, is there another example where religious minorities are favored? America is a democracy. Germany is a democracy. They have different religious groups. But on the basis of religion, there is no reservation or affirmative action. So, going forward actually, we go to 1980. Again, Indira Gandhi was still came back after a short, brief period, and there was a Mandal Commission which suggested increased quotas from 27% to 50%. Now look at this. By 1980, already the quota was increased from 15% to 27%. And now they increased it to 50%. 20 years later, in 2005, say 25 years later, another commission was formed by the same government, Congress-backed small little parties and religious parties. So that was Sachar Commission. That recommended further budgetary allocation for the Muslims. So they were discriminating against other groups, Zoroastrians, Jews. In fact, merit was almost sidelined. And nobody dared challenge Congress government. So this is how the reverse discrimination started. And we understand, and everybody should understand, law cannot be different things to different people. Once that happens, the law and order fabric of the nation collapses. And exactly what is happening. You create some kind of grievance and the government bows down, offers, what more can we give you? As a result of all this, Brahmins are now at the bottom of the totem pole. They are denied fair place in the socio-economic space in their own native lands. And every day, if they are not killed by random violent actors, and they just languish in extreme poverty and kicked around. Caste cleavages are revived during election period, you see. So not just the reservation program is there, but suddenly political ruffians create a riot chart atmosphere and say Hindus did it. The casteist, they coined the new words, casteist. Casteist Hindus, they are doing all these atrocities. So recent election, just before Delhi election. Some small little thing happened near Delhi, and it became a full-fledged riot. Most of the Hindus died, and the white-clad government ministers and their backers, they showed up as if they are the saints of mercy. So a point has come where anytime you can create a riot, blame the Hindus, and get away with it. In Bihar, for example, this is a recent example, elections were there. So suddenly it became an issue of power being given to Yadavs and non-Yadavs. And Yadavs are going to win with the help of the minority religions. So that was a game, and successful game. Bengal, the same thing. You see, Hindus necessarily will give the vote. Where else are they going? Their own representative, the nominees or candidates, are killed at random before the election. So where else are they going to go? So these are classic examples. Delhi itself, when the election came, the Aam Aadmi Party suddenly made it a Baniya issue. That he is a Baniya, Vaishya. And so all the shopkeepers and businessmen, the Agarwals and everybody, they were convinced, or at least the efforts were made to convince them that your businesses and prospects will be jeopardized if BJP comes or any other party comes. So this is how the system manipulates and keep the caste alive. So this is politically motivated criteria, and it disturbs inequities, creates inequities, disturbs the balance, demographic balance. Whole lot of stuff goes on. Now this is a graph I was earlier mentioning. In 2004, it was, based on 2004 data, Rakesh Bahadur, he made different categories. So this is now religion-based SC, STs. Tribes, this is SC tribes, ST tribes, and here is Hindus are 22%, SC 9% STs, and Muslims here only 0.8, 0.5. But the entire community, entire religious group has reservation. Christians 9, and they have all these scheduled tribes. How did they can end up in 32.8? You know, such a large majority of scheduled tribes. That is conversions of through the conversions. So consequences, whether the conversion did bring equality for those classes or not, that is a separate issue. However, the conversion business was part of it. Sikh, they have large number of social classes, scheduled classes, but not many tribes. And the reason why they have scheduled classes, because most of the workers and Jats, they were working under landlords, and they were in a very backward kind of condition. So Jains and Buddhists, they have scheduled classes, large number tribes. And similarly, the list is very reflective of the situation in the country. So how much percentage of distribution of population of each religion is by scheduled caste and tribes. So first they take the advantage as SC, ST groups, then they take the advantage as religious groups. And this way, the expansion of reserved classes kept going on and on, destabilizing the social structure. Time limits for reservation became forever, generation after generation. The judges, the senior bureaucrats, powerful businessmen, many of them millionaires, continue to enjoy the reserved category privileges. As a result, those who are trying to go compete on the basis of merit have no opportunities. Very few seats are left. So we will get to that too. This is social engineering to make some groups more powerful at the expense of others, which is the majority. And by majority, you will say 83% Hindus. So out of right this time after 2009, there were about 30% jobs, less than half for 83% people. Now, politicians, foreign powers, and their mafia groups. These are the people who are keeping the caste alive so that Hindus are divided and bought as per caste groups. So, politicians, foreign powers, and their mafia groups. What are foreign powers to gain by this? We'll go to that too. From 47 onward, Nehru dynasty wanted a loyal backing group. Who else would support their dirty jobs and questionable activities other than the minority religions? So government of India used these groups to the hilt. And then came Mishra report in 2000, I think it was 2009. He declared that 15% more reservation should be for Muslims. And now some of the senior people said, how can you do 15% more if they already have 30%, 83% of the population? Are you going to decrease this to just about 15%? There will be a whole lot of noise about it. They couldn't care less. On top of that, the then Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh, he announced, and this was such a preposterous announcement that I'm going to read it. Manmohan Singh, addressing the National Development Council in 2006, instructed the civil servants, we will have to devise innovative plans to ensure that minorities, particularly the Muslim minority, are empowered to share equitably in the fruits of the development. They must have the first claim on resources. I don't think any other country with any kind of sensibility and sensitivity to its own people could make such a resources. Why should they have the first claim on the national resources? Haven't they gotten 1/3 because they said they cannot get along? And those who chose to remain in India, they should learn to get along. Neighbors do it. 10 neighbors do it. Mohallas do it, neighborhoods. What is the problem with the religion that they cannot do it? If they cannot do it, then giving them more and more and more, why not hand over the entire country? So these are some of the really pertinent and contentious issues which are glossed over in the noise of the propaganda. And of course, the Indian judiciary, the way the parliamentary system works, there is hardly any separation of branches, legislative, executive, and judicial. So executive looks up to MPs, and judiciary is also subservient to the executive. So virtually, the executive rules the entire country. And who in the executive rules? The president of the Congress Party. So now the question arises, are national resources and Indian land the ancestral property of the then Prime Minister, who did not own even his own identity as Prime Minister? And many people called him as Hukam Ka Gulam. Now this is a very interesting thing, you know. Jack of spade. Literally it means in the playing cards, there is a Jack of spades. Jack is translated in Indic languages as Gulam. And spade, that symbol is called Hukam. So it becomes Jack of spades, Hukam Ka Gulam, which means slave to the orders of somebody else. So this was creating inequities, disturbing social structures, keeping the majorities in a very abject kind of poverty at the mercy of others. And this has been going on. And then overcompensating minorities, that those were the examples I already gave. And look at the number of ministries created for looking after, and how much it costs the exchequer, the taxpayers' money, to create, to pander for the well-being of the minorities. Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances, Pension, Ministry of Social Justice, Empowerment, Ministry of Human Resources Development, Ministry of Statistics, Program Implementation, Ministry of Home Affairs, National Commission for Scheduled Class and Scheduled Tribes, and Human Rights, and this. It's plethora of reports are generated. Some of them are created without sufficient data on a long-term trend. They just take the figures of the previous year and voila, let us increase or decrease. The reports prepared by various ministers, international agencies, non-government organizations have failed to answer the following question. If there are widespread human rights violations and acts of discrimination against SCs and STs, then how do the number of castes in the SC category are increasing? And why are the upper caste people agitating that, hey, please consider us as lower caste? I mean, this is almost ludicrous situation where the so-called upper caste want to be lower caste. Ramakrishna Math applied for minority status. At one point, I think Jains are also thinking of applying for minority status. And like that, several others want to be minority. I mean, it is really funny that in a country with such a glorious history, with all kind of highlights in different fields, sciences and mathematics, would like to be backward, considered backward, labeled backward. What is this whole thing about? This is a privilege to be backward. And that is what the crux of these, result of these reports are. So are the constitutional guarantees providing impetus for progress, narrowing the gap, or widening the gap? This has widened the gap beyond repair. Pertinent questions to be highlighted are mischievous and erroneous generalizations, and part of foreign reports, which Indian media yells to the viewers. Caste system has its origin in Hinduism, Hindu scriptures. Scheduled caste tribes continue to be unfairly discriminated. Upper castes are responsible for violence against these, blah, blah. For reasons best known to the authors of these reports, all comparisons in these reports are made to just the last 6 months, or say, short-term data, not the long-term data or trends. When we are playing with statistics, the rule of the science is that we should take a trend and then try to see the current data, how it fits into that. So the data used to illustrate the plight of these people, either it is wrongly compiled, misrepresented, or most of the time misquoted. So in most of the information is produced out of context. Now the issues of Dalit oppression. Dalits are oppressed people. And this word was coined at the insistence of the communist parties and some of the secularist, so-called. Their noise, their propaganda, and what is their purpose. The noise, the propaganda, the media hype, and its purpose is social fragmentation and not letting the majority come up. If the majority comes up as wealthy and happy and healthy, the nation will be healthy. And most of these NGOs and paid propagandists in the media, they are sold out and they don't want India to be rising power. And somehow, Government of India itself is playing a mischievous role. They expand government machinery to siphon money from the exchequer. Government has mandated Hindus to declare caste. Nobody else is, even though the castes do exist, and I showed a slide in my previous presentations where I mentioned the caste structure among the Sikhs, among the Muslims, and of course there is, in the Jews also, there is a different classes. But surprisingly, only the Hindus are supposed to declare their caste, Varan, Jati, on every application. In 2007, I visited about 55 states in 3 months, and I interviewed 35 people from Uttarakhand to Delhi to Punjab to Karnataka to Andhra Pradesh. You see, whoever at random I could pick up, even when traveling by car, I would stop and ask some villagers, what is your caste? And they looked at me. What? I said, caste. Then I said, what is your surname? And they said, surname? Because many people don't even have the surname. You see? There's only one name. And they're not even aware. Villagers are not even aware there's something about which so much noise is made in the country and outside the country. That is caste. So when I said, after your first name, what do you write? And most of the people in the South said, that they write the name of their village. And I know that in Punjab also, they have that kind of categories, like Ramgarhia, belonging to Ramgarh, Amritsariya, belonging to Amritsar. So that is the last name. And similarly in the south also, the village name. Okay? So then I said that when you apply for a job, then what happens? Then they understood what my question was. And they said that there is a column, a line, an item, where they ask us to declare our jati and caste. In English, it is written caste and also jati. So when applying for jobs or applying for admission, that is when the caste plays role. And other than that, of course, in the for creating riots, it is used too. So guilty party for creating the caste, the media, political workers, international agencies, they manufacture grievances against Hindus for caste atrocities. And some pertinent question ignored by these varieties of NGOs. Is caste fixed? Is it rigid? Is it birth-based and hierarchical? If the answer is yes, then how do we explain the continuous increase in the number of castes and the number of scheduled tribes? Something which is fixed and rigid, then how does it keep expanding? And this question was raised by Dr. Rakesh Bahadur in his report too. Actually, I borrowed it from him. So now the question is, what is the task ahead? What are we going to do about this nuisance? Something which died down, the ghost, is revived again and again and again and given some kind of artificial respiration and revive it and at appropriate times before election or at sundry occasions, and sometimes simply to disturb the Hindu festivals, declare them superstitious. This country, if it calls itself independent and secular, it should rise up to better standards. And the concluding part will come next, where I will give some suggestions. Probably they may be valid suggestions, doable, not doable. In the meantime, thank you very much. And please understand, this is about social structures, excesses, and successes of the affirmative action. It has nothing to do with Sanatana Dharma or historical, history of Sanatana Dharma, evolution of Sanatana Dharma. This is not that issue. It is social structures and what is going on. Thank you. Namaste.